This episode is sponsored by Day by Day Book, a guided journal that helps you navigate the ups and downs of change while creating a life you love. For more information on the classic, recovery, or teen day book, go to livedaybyday.com. When you're thinking about that big goal, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. We so often underestimate what we can accomplish, and in so many cases, you will never know your true capabilities until you take those steps towards something that really matters to you. And in the process, you just may change your life. Welcome to Journeys Through Change, a podcast that inspires women to let go of the fear and say yes to possibility. I'm your host, Noelle Van, an author, creator, and empowerment coach who spent years in corporate America helping innovators and leaders ride the waves of change with ease and grace. I now work with women to step into change and unleash the power they have to create a life they love. Whether you're contemplating a change in your career, relationship, health, lifestyle, or anything in between, nothing's off the table. I'll be offering up simple insights to help you manage the ups and downs of change and sharing interviews with successful women who took a leap of faith to create the life they knew they were meant to live, sharing their wisdom, advice, and all the juicy lessons they learned along the way. So get cozy in your favorite comfy chair and let's get started. I was watching the New York City Marathon last weekend and seeing runners cross the finish line. It took me back to 2010 when I took to the streets of New York City to run the marathon with only one goal in mind: to get to see all 5 boroughs and to simply finish the race. It was that simple. It didn't have to be pretty, but I was just committed to finishing it. And when I think of how I set that goal, it's actually funny because the idea popped up during a happy hour amongst a few of my coworkers while I was visiting our New York office. And of the 3 of us who said, let's do it, I was the only one who actually signed up. But setting the goal of running a marathon had never even crossed my mind before that fateful evening that it was brought up in conversation with a few friends. But once I committed, I knew it was something I had to do. This was my big goal. It was a huge stretch, both physically and mentally, because I'm not a runner, and I had never run a 5K, let alone a marathon. So yes, it was a really big deal. But for whatever reason, once the seed was planted, it just took on a life of its own. I look back on it now and know it was so much more than a race for me. I learned so much more about myself through that experience, and I will say it was one of the most pivotal events of my life. So what I want to talk about today is, what does it take to set those bigger goals in life? Ones that have the power to fundamentally change how we view ourselves and how we stay on course enough to successfully achieve them. Now, when I look back at my own experience, I think there are 3 things that are needed to successfully achieve any goal, but especially those that are going to take a deeper level of commitment to make them happen. These are clarity, motivation, and mindset. Now, the first one is clarity. When you set out to do anything in life, you need to know your why, the reason for achieving the goal in the first place. This, to me, is the driving force behind success in anything we do. You can ask yourself, will achieving this help enhance my life in a meaningful way, or maybe shift my perspective about myself? It might make a significant impact on others or provide you with the strength to take on even more challenging goals moving forward. Whatever it is, your why is what you hold dear to your heart and is the fuel that burns within you to stick with it and get it done. Goals that are linked to a deeper purpose are more fulfilling and powerful. And when you understand why a goal matters to you, it becomes easier to stay committed through the challenges. Now, sometimes your why can start out as one thing and end up as another. In my situation, I signed up for a physical challenge. And although it was great to prove to myself that I could do it, the internal shift it created in me, just in how I viewed what I was capable of, was mind-blowing. It's also no accident that I finally got sober a year later, almost to the day. And I know it had a big part to play in gaining the courage to take that leap. Okay, the next is motivation. Now, I know getting motivated to run the marathon definitely took me believing in my ability to train. And although my level of confidence had been pretty low in the beginning, I knew I had challenged myself physically in the past and been okay. So although I may not have believed I was prepared, there was a certain level of competence I felt I had to simply stick with it and get past the finish line, regardless of how long it took. So when you think about getting motivated, motivation can either be intrinsic, which is driven internally, and that's personal satisfaction and internal rewards, or it can be extrinsic. And that's fueled by external incentives like money, recognition, or approval. Interestingly enough, goals that resonate deeply with your values tend to activate intrinsic motivation, making you more committed and persistent. Now, the last is mindset. I remember our motto to finish that day of the race was to beat the sweep. The marathon was closing at 8 p.m. and all we needed to do was make it to the finish line before they closed up shop. That's all we said. We said, this is what we're going to do. And I simply told myself that I was going to be running or walking all day long. I had done that before on backpacking trips in Alaska or Yosemite and understand that a full day of strenuous activity is something that I can do. So the moment I framed it that way, it shifted my mindset to that of success, no matter what. It also brought a lightheartedness to it all and made everything about it feel just less daunting. By the way, being able to pull from past experiences to find evidence of success is always helpful in building your confidence to keep going. Now, another interesting thing is that your brain actually releases dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, when you set and pursue goals. So this creates a sense of anticipation and excitement, which can more easily enhance your focus and effort. Now, envisioning the successful achievement of a goal also engages your brain the same way it would if you were actually experiencing it. So it literally primes the brain to be more prepared for real action. Olympic athletes often use visualization techniques to mentally practice winning or perfecting their skills. I find this so amazing because it shows how shifting your mindset to an expectation of success can actually trigger it to happen. Now, the last thing I will say about mindset is keeping yourself in a state of adaptability and resilience can literally make or break the outcome. Remaining open to it unfolding in whatever way it may and flexing to the shifts that are bound to happen along the way are your key to success. So once you have clarity, motivation, and mindset, having support is the last component that will help you stay on track. Now, you can get support from your social circle by reaching out to friends, family, or trusted colleagues. There's nothing like being surrounded by those who love you to help support you along the way. And when doing so, be clear about what you need, whether it's guidance, support, or inspiration, so they will know how to help and support you. Emotional support from those who care about you can reduce feelings of isolation and stress and make it a lot easier to reach your goal as well. You can also connect with a therapist, counselor, or coach who specializes in managing transitions or any goal that you're reaching for. If it's a physical challenge or goal, seeking support from a trainer is priceless to keep you motivated and ready for success. So looking for professionals with expertise in the area of change you're experiencing is the way to go. It's also good to look to support groups or community for support along the way. You can use platforms like meetups, social media, or community boards to locate relevant groups to support you as well. Being part of a group that shares similar experiences can offer practical advice, empathy, and the realization that you're not alone on your journey. Now, these approaches can create a multi-layered support system, which is what you need to stay grounded and empowered to reach any goal. So with all this said, when you're thinking about that big goal, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. We so often underestimate what we can accomplish, and in so many cases, you will never know your true capabilities until you take those steps towards something that really matters to you. And in the process, you just may change your life. That's it for now. Until next time. Thanks for listening to the Journeys Through Change podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or really wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us and leave a review if you've enjoyed this episode. And share it with a friend or on social media to spread the good word, so more women like you can find us and join in on the fun. For more information on the podcast or Day by Day book, go to livedaybyday.com.